The next ruler that we're moving on to are clam shells. We have several different sizes, actually 4 different sizes of clam shells that you can use. We have these 2 sizes that are the 2-inch and the 4-inch clam shells, and then we have the 1.5 and 3-inch clam shells. When you get one ruler, you have 2 different sizes in one, which is a nice thing to have. I want to use the larger clam shells because I want to show you how you can do clam shells on your quilt. You can use it as a border, or you can use it as an overall design on your quilt. So what you do, if you look at the ruler, it has etching marks, and this is where I want to line up the edge of my quilt with that etching mark. This little notch here is where the hopping foot's going to go in. So I've got it lined up, and I'm going to go ahead and bring my needle down in that corner and tack it down. The hopping foot goes in this notch, and I want to keep my fingers where the pressure down where I'm stitching and not the whole ruler at the same time, or else you're going to lose control. It's a long ruler. So I'm going to go ahead and quilt. And I go down into the notch here, and now I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to move my hand to the next one. Now I'm going to go, if I were doing a quilt, I wouldn't go over the edge like this, but I'm going to go ahead and finish it that way on this. Now what I can do is I can use this edge to come all the way up, and what I'm going to do is come up a little more because I want to offset the second row. And you want to have the etch mark of right here up against the clamshell of the last row. So I need to have it come up enough that this etch mark is even with that last clamshell, just like that. So now I'm going to go offset like that. I'm going to come down and stop so I can move my hand. See how nice that looks? You want to offset every other row when you're doing a clamshell. And when you do it on a quilt, you want to have this line going up the edge like you're stitching in a ditch, so it's not showing, but you're not having to break your thread with each row. So you could fill in the whole space with clamshells, and you can do any size. We've got little teeny clamshells, or you can do the larger ones like I did. The last things I want to show you with clamshells, not the only things left to do, but the things that I have to show you, are circles that you can do with clamshells. And I'll show you how I did this. I lined up, I had an imaginary, or you could use a water-soluble pen to get the center so that you can line it up with the etch on your clamshell. And so you would line up the etched mark on that, and you would stitch, and then you would flip it and line it up again, and then stitch coming around this way, and you can get circles that way. You can also do offset clamshells, and it has a kind of a cool look, I think. So you would use the clamshells, doing it just as we did here, but then the next row, instead of coming up and offset it, you would stay the same and just offset it like this. And then it gives it kind of a nice look for a border or whatever you want to use it for, sashing. I think it has a nice look. But anyway, there's lots of things you can do with clamshells. Have fun with